Hi there, Sherry Schreiber of GetBetter.com. And you may be here because you've landed on a few of my articles about borderline personality disorder online on my website, and it's stirred a curiosity in you about that disorder and why it is you've felt so terribly much in pain, either during the course of one of those relationships with a borderline or in the aftermath of one. So I've spoken to that in some of my other videos. My video, upon rewatching it, borderline personality disorder, what it is and what it isn't, attempts to reveal, I think, the heart of the matter, the very core of it, the central reason and etiology for it, in how this gets implanted in us humans, some of us, unfortunately. But today I want to speak to the topic of enmeshment. Now, I'm not a psychotherapist, never have been one except for being a psychotherapy intern. During about 7.5 years, technically, I was working in private practice internship in Beverly Hills under a wonderful man, and who let me kind of grow and blossom in my own way and see the world of human pain through my own eyes, as opposed to what he tried to cram down my throat past schooling. So that was a very good association for me. And I, in my own personal struggles and journeys, and working very, very, very hard to grow, heal, evolve, become genuinely empowered, and dismantle my own core trauma issues, poor self-worth, insecurities, disconnection from feelings. Those are the things, as I resolved those issues in myself, attempted to help my clients resolve within themselves with the same methods I had invented for me many, many, many years ago. So don't think of me as a psychologist or a psychotherapist. I am not that. I have never worked as a state licensed clinician. I have not had my license revoked, as you might read on the internet. I never was licensed. Met with a serious accident back in 2007, which derailed my ability to study for and take my second state board exam. And I surrendered my application for licensure back then and decided to work with people in a different way, maybe much more expedient way, to help them heal as I had healed. And I believed in my methods, which were extremely unconventional. So that's the backdrop. But when I'm talking to you about enmeshment today, I'm talking to you about what, unfortunately, a lot of narcissists and borderlines struggle with within their maternal attachment. And this is a diffuse attachment. In other words, it's not unconditional. It's dependent on the child mirroring the parent perfectly. That's kind of the core of it. So we have these borderlines and narcissists that were, in a sense, cast from the kingdom of their mother's domain. They were cast out. They had to swim across a moat just to survive. They were cast out of the kingdom. And then we have other borderlines and narcissists who are enmeshed with their mothers. And what you can go to gettingbetter.com and go to the bottom of my articles page and find my glossary page and look up enmeshment, and there's a simple description of it there according to how I think about enmeshment. And essentially what enmeshment is in a relationship experience is that you don't know where you end and the other begins. So in a mother-daughter experience, the daughter doesn't know where she ends and the mother begins, and where the mother ends and the daughter begins. So they are hopelessly entwined. And the daughter is unable then to develop as an autonomous, healthy, separate human being apart from the mother. She grows up not being able to develop and form her own views, her own perspectives, her own ideas, her own opinions. These are all infused into her by the mother. So whatever the mother believes, however the mother sees the world, whatever the mother feels about men is infused into the daughter. And that happens on a pretty regular basis. So rather than being cast out of the kingdom, the child is kind of kept safe, secure, but also trapped in this sort of tower where she cannot escape, and she cannot form a sense of self outside of that castle. And even any attachments that she tries to form, any friendships that she tries to form, even romantic connections that she tries to form, the mother is intensely jealous of, because the mother does not want to surrender any time that she has with the daughter. Kind of wants to keep her locked up in the castle. The example that I give on my glossary page of enmeshment is like in a couple. Let's say you're trying to decide what you want for dinner, and one of you says, "Well, I don't know. I was kind of thinking about Chinese. I was in the mood for Chinese, but what do you want?" And the other one says, "Well, I was kind of thinking about Mexican food, but what do you? But we can do Chinese." And neither one of them is really willing to take a stand for what their craving is, because they're afraid that they will disappoint the other, that the other will feel obliged to accommodate their partner's wish or desire. And then, of course, the one who's accommodated goes into the dinner situation feeling guilty. That's my damn phone in the background. It'll stop shortly. So, in any event, when we're enmeshed, we cannot develop an autonomous sense of self. So, an enmeshed adult child is constantly fearful that the mother will die. It's like, if something happens to her, what will become of me? Will I be able to survive without her? Because truly, the self has been split in half. And half of that self belongs to the mother. Has to go along with her thoughts, her perspectives, her viewpoints, her priorities. Whatever the mother deems as important, the child has to accommodate and agree to. So there's never any sense. The child is treated in a sense like a clone of the mother. You're my little clone. I need you to be exactly like me and think like me and act like me and talk like me and be like me. So if you're someone who's dating a borderline, who is enmeshed with their mother, you're getting a twofer. You're getting two borderlines for the price of one, is what's happening. Because those two are inseparable. The daughter doesn't make any choices or decisions without consulting the mother first. She can't. She doesn't have a mind of her own. She doesn't have a spirit of her own. She's been robbed of that luxury by her mother. You're getting a twofer. So an enmeshed borderline brings her mother along for the ride. In other words, you've got two borderlines now on your hands to deal with automatically, without fail. And that could be really problematic for you. Girl can't make a move without yakking to her mother about it, asking her mother about it. Guide me, help me. I can't make up my own mind about things because I've never been allowed to. Now, she doesn't hold this consciously, but basically, she's pedestalized the mother and sees herself as incompetent and frail and ill-equipped to deal with life. And I think that's kind of tragic. So separating an enmeshed borderline from her mother, it takes something close to an act of Congress. It's very tough stuff, helping her develop a sense of self and of worth and of her own identity separate from the mother. Huge undertaking, really, really huge. So a healthy gal will have a friendly, nurturing, nourishing attachment bond with her mother, but not be dependent on her past the age of 20-25, not be dependent on her to help her make up all her decisions and choices. If you hear from someone, female, oh, my mom and I are best friends. And I used to hear this a lot while I was working with core damaged people. My mom and I are best friends. I'd say to these women, well, what does that mean exactly? Does that mean that your mother is your best friend, that she's there whenever you need her? Or does that mean that you're your mother's best friend? And that she can call you up in the middle of the night complaining about this or that or the other thing, and you will readily respond to that need. That's not a relationship. That's imprisonment. These are not two whole people coming together and having healthy interplay. These are two half people coming together and deeply dependent on one another for their sustenance. Guys too, oh, my mother's a saint. Oh yeah, I'm very close with my mother. Oh, I talk to my mother all the time. You poor dear. Really, you poor, poor baby. Because apparently there was no suitable male around your home to give you a healthy sense of what it means to be a man and outgrow your need for mommy. Apparently, there was no suitable male role model from which you would have learned what it means to act like and be like a man. being able to assert yourself, being aggressive if you have to be in certain situations. You poor, poor baby. But mama's got you tied to her apron strings, and there's no escape for you. Because this is how you learn to get her love and gain her favor when you were little, and all she did was complain to you about your dad. Now, what this does to a male who's got a borderline mother is she doesn't realize it, but she's terribly undermining his own sense of worth and lovability. And she's also undermining his confidence in the sense of ever being able to grow up and please a woman. Because he sees his adult male father constantly disappointing his mother, or at least that's the story he hears from her. And so subliminally as a child, he's thinking, well, gosh, if my father, an adult, strong male, isn't capable of pleasing my mom, how in the world am I ever to grow up and think that I can please a woman? And because mother's taking swipes at the dad constantly, she's putting him down. She's telling her son how disappointed she is by her husband. She's crying on his shoulder because she's trying to turn him into a mommy and a therapist for her. And he gladly assumes those roles because he's getting positive attention from mother while he is acting in these ways with her. And he'll do anything, and literally anything, to avoid being cast from the kingdom like his father has been, and risking her disapproval and disfavor. So he's the surrogate husband now. It's tragic. It's just tragic, and this is what builds narcissists. Compulsive caregiver, fixer, rescuer types who inevitably date borderlines exactly like their mother. Waif types, most likely. Poor pitiful victims. So this enmeshment stuff, this sends its tentacles into every realm of a female and male's life. Why does a borderline mother enmesh her daughter? Because she could never get her primal needs of infancy and early childhood met by her mother. Those primal, painful, emotional needs of longing and yearning to get her love returned. So since the mommy could never get her needs, her primal needs for attention and affection met in infancy and throughout childhood, she's going to glom onto the daughter, make her dependent on her so she cannot leave. And forever that child will be responsible and feel responsible and obliged to take care of the mother's needs. And it's criminal and it's pitiful to me. It's just pitiful. When I was a much younger woman, my girlfriends used to say to me, "What do you mean you don't want to have kids? How can you say that? What do you mean you don't want to have children? Who's going to take care of you when you're old?" Literally, this happened in my younger years. And I thought to myself way back then, my 20s and 30s, how utterly absurd that was. to have a child with the expectation that that child would then take care of me when I'm old. That's what we have rest homes for, nursing homes, care facilities for. But I thought to myself, what an incredibly selfish thing. What an incredibly dysfunctional, selfish, crazy idea this is. I would just look at these girlfriends like they were from another planet. I mean, this did not compute for me. Who's going to take care of you when you're old? Christ almighty. So I've been looking at borderlines, not even realizing that's what I was looking at. Shh. Thank you, good dog. For eons. These dysfunctional women. Ugh, God. I don't hate them. I hate what they do to people in relationships. I hate what they do to their children, their offspring. I hate that. But I don't hate borderlines. I've been accused of that a lot because I write my articles for survivors of those relationship experiences. But I do not hate borderlines, never have hated them. I've been quite fond, in fact, of the ones who tiptoed through my practice and who I tried to help grow emotionally and mend and develop self-esteem. That's all I did with them. That's all I did. Enmeshment. So the only thing worse than being cast from the kingdom is being trapped there. It's almost better for the child in a family who's been cast out and can somehow find their way to building an autonomous sense of self. Maybe they live clear across the country or in another country. Than the one who is still tied to mother, welded to her, joined at the hip with her. They're like Siamese twins, conjoined twins. You can't have an independent thought, idea, perspective that doesn't agree with mother's. You can't, you're not allowed. Because if you even consider such a thing for yourself as an enmeshed adult child, or even throughout the course of your childhood and growing up years, there's a subtle knowing that you are going to be risking rejection and abandonment. It's never said outright, but you know that that's the risk. And you will avoid it at all costs, even to the detriment of yourself. And you will live with terror as an enmeshed adult child of the day your mother dies. Because when she dies, since there has not been cultivated any separation, individuation between you and her, part of you dies too. And whatever will you do without her? So I've been able to, during the course of my working career, successfully dismantle this in a number of people, this enmeshment bullshit. Very happy about that. And those clients were very happy about that too. I'm hoping this has been educational for you today. I'm hoping you understand more about enmeshment, what it really means. I can't tell where I end and you begin. I can't tell where you end and I begin. We are conjoined. I can't be myself and still be loved by you. I can't be myself whatever the hell that is. If I've been lucky enough to discover what myself is and who I am, separate from you, I can't be that self without terrible fear that you will reject and abandon me and cast me away from the kingdom. And that, my dears, is enmeshment. Take care and goodbye for now.